Hey guys, and welcome to today's discussion about the 5 basic principles of fitness. But in order to maximize these principles, you should already know your goals in mind and what you want to accomplish. It's going to make this video a little bit more in depth and a little bit more applicable to yourself. So if you haven't, check out my SMART goals video, and you can see that in the link below. And it will be able to help you better maximize these 5 principles so you can utilize them in getting the best results. So again, some people may say there's 7 principles, but I kind of tied them to 5. Most people will say it's 5. We're going to start with number 1, which is the most important principle, and that is the principle of overloading progression. So what you want to think of it is that it is continued increased strain to the body as you continue to adapt to those adaptations that you do, right? So basically what I'm saying is, as you start to get stronger, faster, your better cardio, you need to put an increased overload on the body to force it to have better adaptations to continue. The idea is if you go in and you do the same movements over and over, your body's gonna get so well adapted to it that it's not gonna need to make a lot of changes in order to continue to see that progress. So if you wanna continue to get stronger, faster, whatever that goal is, you have to continue to push yourself a little bit more and more each time. One of the favorite quotes I like to say as a trainer specifically, if it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. Basically that, right? So you want to try to design that program that you're going to continually increase your weight, the amount of volume do. Maybe you mix it up, do more reps. Maybe you're doing cardio. Your goal is to increase it by a half a mile each time, but you need to be consistently making it more and more challenging as you start to get better and better adapted to each of those movements. Number 2, that is the F.I.T.T principle, which kind of ties in together individuality and recovery. Individuality being everyone is different, so you want to design a program specific to you and your needs. And then again, recovery, very important. You also want to make sure you're getting a good amount of rest. Now, that goes into the F.I.T.T principle, right? F.I.T.T stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type, okay? So frequency, how many days a week are you going? They recommend maybe 1 to 3 days at most if you're a beginner, anywhere from 2 to 4 days, 5 days, even intermediate, and then 5 to 6 days. I really don't recommend doing 7 days. Your body needs that recovery time. And again, how you do it is very important. So if you're doing it and you're focusing on trying to grow that muscle, a lot of times people do more like bodybuilder splits, where you do different muscle groups. You can isolate it, focus on that one muscle group, and then leave it alone for the entire week so it gets that full recovery while still being able to hit another muscle group later down the line. So the most common you'll hear is push, pull, and legs. Push being chest, shoulders, and triceps. Pull being back, biceps, and I like to tuck abs in there. And then legs being such a big movement, you do legs by themselves. So that's a good 3-day split. So you know that you're going 3 days that week. Maybe Monday, maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday. So you also get a day in between to recover, and you get the most amount of that growth and really isolating that muscle, right? It all is relative to what your goals are, right? Frequency can also be played into cardio, right? Are you doing different intervals on one day? Are you doing long distance, short burst? Relative to what you're doing, right? And that's going to go into my next principle in a minute. However, again, that also goes into intensity. So now moving on to the I of F.I.T.T, intensity, right? How heavy is it? How fast is it? How relative is it to your goals? And then again, time and type, right? Type goes into, again, what you're doing, right? If you're doing weights, if you're doing whatever it is, you want to know that that's your goal. And again, that is going to go right into number 3. And that is the principle of specificity. So you want to do something specific to your goal, right? If you're trying to be a bodybuilder and you're trying to get big and lots of muscle, then you expect yourself to make those changes by doing sprints every day. You got to lift those heavy weights if you want to increase your strength and your muscle size, right? So program that fitness plan around what your goal is. And the more specific it is, the better it's going to be. Right? So if you want to be a power lifter, you want to do those powerlifting moves. Now, again, you can do different things to kind of help improve your powerlifting as well. But if you don't do powerlifting and you want to get into powerlifting and be better powerlifting, you're not going to see those changes. Simple as that. It has to be specific to what your goal is. And that moves into principle number 4, variation. Being able to mix up your routine, right? Not only for your own sanity, because if you sit there and do the same thing over and over and over again, you're gonna get bored of doing it and you're less likely to stick with it and actually make it to where you wanna be. But also another factor is muscle memory, right? As you become more and more adapted to it, you're not gonna get that overload principle. If you're doing the same things over and over, right, your body's gonna get really good at doing it. It's gonna burn less calories to do it. It's gonna make less changes on the body, less strain or overload to that body. So again, that goes back to principle 1. If you don't mix up your routine, it's gonna limit your body's ability to get that overload or start to adapt better and make less changes. So mix it up, right? And again, try to keep it specific to your goals. Again, however, having different variations can make a big difference. So there's a million ways you can do different leg movements. You can just change it up. So you can do German volume training, heavy lifting, you can do whatever it is. Again, it still falls in that F.I.T.T principle. However, you got different variations, not only for your own sanity, but for your body's adaptations as well. And finally, you hear it all the time, the law of reversibility. Simple as you either gotta use it or you lose it. Just as much as you can make changes to your body can take those changes away. Now, the thing about it is, it's a little different from muscle growth, hypertrophy, that is to cardiovascular enhancements. After about 5 days of not doing cardiovascular, you lose an enzyme that helps not only protect your heart in case you have a heart injury, but then you start to lose those adaptations as fast as you've grown, right? Now, if you have a lot of increase, it's gonna take a little bit longer for those adaptations to leave. However, it's very fast. That's why you see those athletes that the moment they get injury, they have to try to do something to try to keep their cardiovascular skills up to keep their elite status. However, when it comes to weightlifting, muscle growth, it takes about 28 weeks to lose about 30% of your muscle mass, assuming you're doing nothing. So it takes a lot longer for you to atrophy than necessarily it is for you to lose a cardiovascular enhancement. But that being said, just as much as you can grow it is just as much as you can lose it. So going back through those 5 principles again one more time. Number 1, one of the most important, the overload principle. You gotta make it harder as you get better at it. Number 2, F.I.T.T principle. Frequency, intensity, time, type. So if you know your goal, right, plan it with those 4 specific in mind. Specificity, right? It's specific to that goal. You're using that F.I.T.T principle, but you're making sure that you're sticking towards where you're gonna do in order to get to where you wanna be. Number 4, variation. You're mixing up that routine, you're keeping it fresh, but you're keeping it towards, again, that goal. It's all in the same category, but you're getting muscle confusion to occur so that you prevent those adaptations from being lower. You want them to be more efficient. And finally, the law of reversibility. What you don't do is gonna take it away just as much as what you do is gonna give it to you. Use it or lose it. Hope you guys enjoyed those 5 principles. If you take them and you follow it through when you're creating your plan, you're gonna have much better results in order to get to where you wanna be. Again, it's about working smarter, not harder. Now, if you check on the next video, this is gonna go into designing a program around your nutrition, calories, protein, all the works, because not only is it important that what you do, but it's also important that you give yourself the tools in order to get it done. Check out the next video on designing a program around your nutrition. If you like, don't forget, like and subscribe below, and I'll check you on the next video.